Hello, this is Adam with Daily Grind Digital, and today we are going to go over the theme settings in the DGD Crusade Shopify theme. There are a lot of theme settings, so if you have a lot of time, go ahead and bear with me, and if you need something specific, feel free to skip through the video to the specific area that you'd like. Whenever you hop into the customizer in Shopify, typically you're going to see the homepage as we're at now, and you're in the sections area. So if you look in the top left of my screen, we're in the sections part of the theme. You want to go to this paintbrush that says theme settings, and now we are in the theme settings. So I'm going to go through all of these settings one by one, and we're just going to start with performance here. So performance is inline and critical CSS. Do not check this unless you are working with us. We will operate this for you. We very well may move this out of the base theme and only put this in for clients that are working with us. But just know if you see this option in here, do not check it unless you are working with us. And we will check it for you in that manner. If you do check this, your theme is not going to work. You're going to have some type of error on your front end. So just again, the benefits of inline and critical CSS is getting closer and closer to perfect performance. Typically, most sites always get flagged for not inlining critical CSS, and that varies on a website to website basis. So we are continually improving this theme to get flagged less and less for critical CSS, but to get essentially perfect, we would have to manage that for your site very carefully. So that is why you see this option in here. And again, not required to work with us. Just don't check this, and just be aware that your performance is still going to be very good compared to other themes and things of that nature without having the service. The theme is very performant out of the box. So next we have the theme colors. So you have your background here, and what that's going to control is, well, the background. So I'll give you an example here. If we turn this black, you can see these parts underneath these sections are black. So you can see the black background there. So what that does is it allows you to go in. I'm going to go into sections real quick just as an example. And we'll go into this rich text, which is this area here. If we turn this background to black, it's going to, and of course we would want to change all the text in this section to white, but it would allow us, so you can see that, it would allow us to have a fully black background throughout the site. If you see white areas, it's just because you need to go in that specific section and change the background to black. So just note that that's not going to look great because that's I did not set this theme up to be a black background, but you do have all the options you need to customize that and to make it look good. So I'm going to switch it back to white because that's what this was set up off of. Oops, then I need to do one more thing here, although I could just leave it, but let's change this back to white, and that area will now show up. All right. So you have your background, you have your base font color. So what that is anything that's text. So whenever you're writing out a product description in the back end of Shopify, or writing out a blog in the back end of Shopify, or anything that's a text area in a section, it is just your base font color. So I'll probably touch on that more in a minute. But so you have your primary color. So this is going to be an option in your section settings, for example, like every section and block you have essentially has the option to choose between primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Some sections have the ability to choose your extra light gray color. Typically that's for background settings, and it's not in every section, but it is available in some. The thing to note about these colors is, so you see you can have your primary color. Well, you also get to choose what do you want your text color to be for that primary color? So if you choose pink, you're going to get, so for example, if this is a background, if you're choosing your background to be pink or your button to be pink, the text that's going to display on top of that is going to be this white. Same with this secondary color. So if I choose a background or a button color of this secondary purple, it's like a purple, we would get white text. So that's just how that does. And then if you're actually changing a text color, it's going to be whatever the primary is. So I'll give you an example of that real quick. So if we go into, let's see here, I'm trying to think of a very good example. So we'll actually go into the hero. So if we go into the hero here, and we look at the button, for example, so you have your button color here. So right now I can set it to that primary, and that primary I believe was that pink with white text. So if I set it to primary, you can see I have that pink with white text. If I go to secondary, it was that purple with white text. So if I go to secondary, now you have that purple with white text. So that's essentially how it would work on a background too, if the background controls the text setting. So there are some sections in the theme that you still have the option to customize your text color. So for example, in the rich text area, those settings are separate. So if you go to background, you can choose primary color for the background, but it did not change the actual text. That is because this actually gives you individual heading colors right here. So you can actually change that here. So if I want white, I can choose white. And the reason you see that gradient there is I've added a class up here. So this heading text takes HTML. But just to give an explanation there. So just be aware that you have a lot of functionality in this theme. When you do have a lot of functionality, it does mean you have to learn a little bit more, but these things are definitely easy to learn. It just takes a little bit of time, and you'll be just fine. So I'm going to get back into the settings here. I just want to give examples with it. So that is essentially your color options. Just be aware that this is global. Down here, you can set gradients, and just be aware this is global. So it is, just think of it as like this is your brand colors. This is going to be throughout the theme. You have your primary, secondary, and tertiary, and gradient in most cases. And then you're always going to also have an extra light gray in a number of cases, and then you're always going to have a white and a black in the theme as well to just give you all the options that most websites would need. So next we're moving on to the layout settings. So layout settings, the first you have here is max content width, and that is going to control, let's go to full screen here, how wide the areas will stretch. So forgive the designs here, it's just an example website, but so you see how much room there is between this site speed image and the SEO. So the the gap there. So if I go back here and I do max content width and I stretch it all the way to the max here, once that takes effect, you will see, oh, so let's go back in here real quick. I apologize, I had that in reverse. So max content width is the max content width, so the text area here. So you can see, for example, this, because it's a large H1 and the max content width is set to 600 pixels, it is breaking into 3 lines. But if we up that all the way to 900 pixels, you can see that it doesn't break so much. But this is a global theme setting, so this is going to impact everything. I'm assuming, most sites are going to have it probably not down to 600, but that is available. But you can see the difference that makes. Now, what I was originally explaining to you is the width option. So if you go to full screen and you see, how much room there is to the edges of the screen there, you can this affects your align wide option. So if I go to 1600, and then that takes effect, and now we go to full screen, you can see how much further that stretches. And if we go back in to the desktop view, I want to give you an example of what that impacts. So if we go back to sections here, this hero, you have the option to align wide or align full. So the align wide option is actually what is going to adjust to whatever you set this width to. And then, so back to the hero. So whatever we set that to. So now when we go to full screen, there's going to be a slight gap. So um, you actually can't see it in that particular section because it's meant to stretch. But let's go to the multi-column, for example. So now multi-column is set to align wide. So that's why you see it adjusted like this. Now if we set it to align full screen, now you can see it's all the way to the edges because it is aligned full. So that is the difference there. I hope that was clear. And then you do have this full with gutters options. Right now, we do not have gutter controls in the theme. Typically, designers are more focused on that, but we do plan to roll some out. So if you're interested in the gutter options, please just reach out if we haven't released any updates on the site about it, or if we haven't answered any questions that you have in general. So I'm going to jump back in here. So that is the content width setting there. And now you have your radiuses. So right now you can notice that we have, go to this area is fine. Right now we have kind of a square on all of our cards and images and things. So if we add a radius, wait a second, now you can see we have a more of an oval shape. So you're able to add a radius onto image items and your cards, your product cards. So if you would go to a collection page now, so that, remember, think of theme settings as global settings. They affect the entire site. So right now these collection images have a background on them, so you can see the oval shape. You do have the option to remove the image background, but I'll cover that in a minute. Just want to show you all of that. So let's go back to the home page. And so you also have buttons. So let's go ahead and do the button radius. So this button's a little hard to see. It's a square right now. Now that takes effect, now it's more of a circular shape. And then you have your input border radiuses, which is this control down here. And that is going to impact, let's just go to the contact form. By the way, we are going to release some updates to this contact form to make it better, and that will be in the base theme. And basically, we're just going to give you the ability to reduce the width of this and style it a little better. But just for example purposes, you put that radius on for your input border radius, and now you can see those are oval as well. So that is what that controls. So the next after layout, we have mega menu. Right here is where you enable your mega menus. So you have up to, what is it, 5 mega menus, and you would just tick these on to enable them or disable them. And essentially what you do here is you give this link title whatever the menu item is that you want it to show for. So for example, I have theme up here. So I would name this theme if I would want a mega menu to pop down on this item. And then you would go to sections here and you would set up your mega menu right here. I'm going to do a separate video in depth on how to set up the header, the mega menus, and the footer. So if you're interested in the specifics of setting up the mega menu, that is going to be a different video. So just look for that video on our website for how to set up the header, mega menu, and the footer. So I'm going to go back into the theme settings. Essentially, that's all you need to know there outside of if you really want to know how to set it up step by step, view that video. Your typography. So you have a primary font that you can choose. You have the ability to choose any font that is built into Shopify. You can upload custom fonts, but if you're going to do that, we highly recommend that you contact us to do so. With that being said, you have a primary font and you have a secondary font, and you can obviously choose what font you want. And then the next thing to note is just your primary font is going to by default control your your base font. So you do have the ability to adjust your base font size and the line height. Your base font is anything that is standard text. So think about writing product descriptions, blog pages, um, and other areas that pull in more of your paragraph text. So think of your base font as paragraph text, and then think of your whatever you choose for your primary font, that is the font that is going to be used for your paragraph text. And that is what is going to be controlled by your base font controls right here. Outside of that, you have H heading settings, and you have up to 6 heading settings. So and on each one of those, you can choose, do you want the heading to use your primary font, or do you want it to use your secondary font? So for a lot of brands, what they're going to have is they're going to have a primary font that they use for text. They're going to choose a secondary font that they use for more of headings, so large titles, things of that nature. So for the most part, a lot of these you'll probably have set to your secondary font, but you do have the ability to set it to primary. Now you have a lot of controls here for what size you want these fonts to be on desktop, tablet, and mobile. So you have separate settings on how large or small these fonts will be on every device type. And you also have individual letter spacing. So for example, let's just go ahead and increase this desktop size. I believe this is in desktop view. It might be, okay, yeah, so you can see that increase. You can adjust that down and boom. So this particular DGD Crusade is an H1, so that is the only thing that is being impacted. And I'll raise it back up to 80 pixels again so you can see that get larger. And just for transparency here, that is the second heading. So if I move this heading around, you can see now it's on, now it's been put below. So it's actually this heading, I'm sorry. So I'm going to put it back up to the middle. And if I click in here, you can see that we've got it set to be an H1 right here. And I guess just for a quick note while we're here, some blocks or sections have an option for heading tag and heading modifier. This is for SEO purposes, and essentially what this does is this is the SEO, think of this as the SEO tag. So you can have an SEO tag of an H1 while your heading modifier is an H2, which essentially is the size. So right now I've assigned this to the H2 in the theme settings. But it still has an H1 tag on it for SEO purposes, telling Google, for example, this is the most important title on the page, for example. So just note that that is the difference there between the heading modifier and the heading tag. I don't want to leave you clueless there since I opened that up. But so you have those settings to adjust between desktop, tablet, and mobile, and your letter spacing, and you also have your font weight that you want to assign to those options. So you do have the ability to do that. I believe we just noticed, yeah, you can see that font weight change whenever I selected that. So you can see now it gets bold. I'm going to switch that back to normal real quick. So I'm not going to go through each one of those. You just know that those are there, and you have H1 through H6 as options with all of those adjustments available inside there. Next, you have collection settings here. So I'm going to go to the collection page real quick. This one's going to be really quick. So if we go to the default collection here, Forgive me because this is just an example site, so don't be too critical of the way it looks. But if we go into the collection here, the only thing you have is how many products per row. So you can adjust that down to 3. You'll see the change take effect here. You could adjust that down to 2. So that is your options there for your collections per row on desktop. Currently, the collections per row on mobile is just 1. We may release an update to allow you to choose between having 1 per row or 2 per row on mobile. But right now, I'll go to mobile real quick. It's just 1 per row on mobile. So that is your collections. Next, you have your products. So I am going to, I guess I'll click into a product here, and we'll open up the product settings. So you have your, actually let me go back real quick because for example purposes, it may be better to show something different. All right, so you have your show savings as, and you can do percent, or you can do a dollar value. So percent or dollars. So if I write down here at the very bottom, you can see it says save 50% on this particular product that I'm highlighting, the Crusade Shopify theme. But if we do dollars, you'll see that this little area here says save 500 USD. So you can choose between, do you want that to be a percent, or do you want that to be a dollar value? And then you have your sell badge background color. So do you want that to be something different? We can make it this purple, and you see that that took effect right here, save 50%. Now it's purple instead of blue. And then you have your text color, obviously, so I could change that. I'm going to leave it to white. So you have your option style. So I'm just going to click through to this product here and just show you how that is. So of course these options are oval because we added a radius up here in the layout option. So that is why these selectors are oval shaped. Now, do you want these to be selectable boxes? So these are selectable boxes. They're individually laid out on the page, and you can choose the different options that you want. But you can make it drop down. So if you want it to be a drop down, this is what that will look like. So now you have drop down options to select between the variants. And then you can also enable color swatches. So if you enable that, now you have color swatches to choose from. The thing to note here is that for this to work, the word color has to be in the variant title. So obviously you can see that's here, and by default it will pull the color based on the name that you give it. So I'm going to put it back. I'm going to turn this off so you can see again. So we have green, blue, and red, and I've named them green, blue, and red. This is the default that Shopify pulls based on the color name you give it. But we are going to enable the ability to upload custom color swatches so you can actually match the exact hex code or whatever it is of your product. Say you have a shirt and it's a particular green, so that way you can have exact match there. So be on the lookout for an additional video that shows you exactly how to do that. And it'll be something like how to upload custom color swatches, and that'll be on our site, and we'll have a video on how to do that. So you also have your swatch style. So do you want it to be circle or square? So this is going to change these from being a square to being circles. So you do have that option. I'm a bigger fan of the circle personally. I'm going to go ahead and turn that back off for now. And so limit quantity to available inventory. Do not worry about that for now. Actually, that is something that we'll probably move into QuickShop. So this functionality, just disregard it. We are actually, so in this product page, you can see only have one in stock left. Um, we have a different option to show the quantity. You can turn this on and off. I'll actually show you here. It's just a little block, so you have inventory countdown. You can turn that on or off, or add it or not add it, and you will have that ability. You can also move it around, so if you want to up the title and price, boom, and then only one left in stock. So just to touch on that real quick since we were there. But don't worry about that option in right here. For now, we are actually going to update this functionality. You do have enable back in stock request here. So let me go to a collection real quick and I'll show you what that looks like and touch on that for a second. All right, so where is it? Product that is up. All right, sold out. So you can see this product says sold out on it. If we click into it, here you have the sold out button, so you can't add to cart or anything. You have notify me when this product is available. You can enter your email and submit it. That is this enable back in stock request. You can customize that text, so notify me when this product is available. That is feeding right here. So you can customize that text if you like. We do have a built-in integration for Klaviyo. So by default, if you just use this option, all it's going to do is it's going to send an email to the Shopify owner. So the email that's set as the owner of the store, you will get an email saying this email subscribe to back in stock for this product, I believe. But there's no systematic way of sending an email update whenever that product becomes available. You have to manually do that, or remember put that you have to manually keep track of that essentially. So if you do the Klaviyo public API key, which there's a document on how to find that, you just paste that here, and what that'll do is that integrates it with Klaviyo. And Klaviyo, as long as you've set up your flows properly for back in stock requests, it'll automate that email. So Klaviyo will send an email for the specific product that the customer subscribed to get an alert for, and it'll be automated as soon as that product becomes available. It'll trigger a flow. So highly recommend using Klaviyo if you are not using it. So that is all of that. Product review ratings. So I'm going to go to the theme page. You can see that mega menu is popping up now because I enabled it. Please disregard that. It looks pretty terrible, and I have not styled or done anything with that. So I was just giving you that example purpose in the theme setting, and we can actually just disable that mega menu real quick, and that should keep it from showing up now. All right, so back into the theme settings, we are in the product settings, and right here we have enable product reviews. So right now you can see that the product review star rating shows up, and essentially, actually I apologize because I actually don't think this is controlling it either. So we are going to move this part of the functionality as well. This item right here and this item right here, we're going to move those. So disregard those for now. We're going to make those work better with the collection page. So will these reviews show on the collection page? Yes. And we'll have updated settings to control that. This currently and will control the color of the reviews on this page though. So if I click purple here, you can see that the star is updated to purple. I'm going to set them back to orange. But to choose whether these are showing on the product or not, you actually go to the product form here, right there, and you can select show star rating. So it's in the title and price block of the product section. So now that rating is disappeared, now it's showing. What I want to note on that is the reason this is actually beneficial to use the theme, and we are actually going to update the style for this. We're going to make those work and display nicer on the product page, we're going to make them display on the collection page, and also on the QuickShop if you want the QuickShop enabled. And the reason that it's nice to have it working through the theme itself is for performance purposes. Yeah, for performance purposes, because when you use a third-party app to display the reviews, a lot of times that code is going to negatively impact your site performance. So we're building it in to where, say, if you're using Judge Me or another review app, instead of putting their code on the site, our theme will automatically pull the star ratings in for the products without you having to use that code, which will help you maintain good performance and keep apps from harming your performance. So now you know that that is available in the theme. Just again, these settings are actually will probably be moved down to product cards and QuickShop settings to control the star reviews displaying. So just disregard those for now and just know that that functionality will be in the theme for you, in the base theme. So next you have your QuickShop settings. So QuickShop is kind of what I was showing you just a second ago. So let's go back to the collection page. And so you have your, let's just go first, background color. So I'm going to turn it to black just so you can see that whenever it pops up initially. So if I click, and just notice the image size is set to small. So just note that. So now we have image size set to small. We set the background color to black. And this is an example where if I set it to my secondary, remember that secondary was that dark purple with white text. So if I set it to the secondary, the page is going to refresh because I made a change. If you do QuickShop, now you have that dark purple with the white text. So that is an example of where changing the background color is going to use your chosen text color to go with that. So now I'm going to change it. Notice we're on, so I'm going to change it back to white. So now you'll know that that changes the background color. Also, I'm going to change the image size to large, just so you can see the difference there. So I'll change that to white. I'm going to change the image size to large. We'll let those changes take effect. And then QuickShop, you can see that this image is much larger now. Let's see here. That particular image is not a good aspect ratio, so forgive me. Let me see if I can find one that is a little better sized. So this one is a little nicer. Let's see how this impacts it. Yeah, so it was actually my image height setting as well. So now that image is set to, let's go back to the one that looked a little wonky. So now this image looks a lot better for the most part. I can set it back to small. So I've changed the image height ratio. Beforehand, it was set to a 5:1. Now we've got it 1:1, which is a square. So now if I open up this square image size, QuickShop, you can see it's different when it's set to small. It's also different when it's set to large. And you have the ability, so if we go to QuickShop, so now it's set to large, it's a 1:1 ratio. You can see that background there. I do want to show that you can get rid of the background. So you can see this light gray background. If you uncheck that option, we'll let the page refresh. QuickShop, now there's no background. So you can remove that background, or you can show the background and then choose a background color. So black, white, secondary, primary, or your extra light gray. Also note that, so let's put that background back on. So this image is more of a mobile ratio, right? So it's more of like a 9:16. So you can see this square area behind it because it's a 1:1. You can up this image height to a 1. 1.5 by 1. And that actually will make that background less visible because it's going to adjust the ratio of the image. So now you can see it's more of a mobile scale here. So that is the image, the product media settings, the image size, and things of that nature. Use featured media aspect ratio. By default, this is going to overwrite the image height setting, and it essentially the first featured image that you have on the product, it'll make all image ratios follow that particular image's ratio. So your first featured image of the product. Where this could be a good setting, and this works on the product page as well. Where this could be a good setting is say that say you have hoodies, and you take images of people wearing the hoodie, like, but you're showing the full person's body, so it's more of a mobile dimension. But then you have shoes, and those are more of a 1 by 1. Well, this use featured media aspect ratio, what it could do is on your shoes that are 1 by 1, the aspect ratio of that image would scale to a 1 by 1, and that would all your shoes would follow that ratio. Whereas maybe your hoodie images are a 9 by 16, then the aspect ratio for those categories would fall in place. Whereas if you uncheck this option and you use image height, that is going to be your image height ratio throughout your entire site. It's not going to change based on your product categories or anything. So you have a dynamic option here, and then you have a hard set option here. So that gives most businesses plenty of flexibility to work with your image and your specific business needs. Outside of that, so you have your title text size. So let's just open this up again. And so right here, you can see your title text size is set to H4. So if we go to an H1, and we open that up, you can see that your title text size is a lot larger. Of course, you're going to want to adjust this to be a little more friendly than that. So now we've got that adjusted. You also have your show quantity selector. So that is just going to be, does this quantity selector right here show, or is it hidden? Show dynamic checkout button, that's going to impact whether your Shopify Buy It Now button shows or is hidden. Also, if you have PayPal enabled or Google Pay enabled, that can also end up showing right here as well if you have show dynamic checkout buttons enabled in this area. So button size also, that is going to impact how large your add to cart button and your buy it now button is. Your button style, so do you want a solid or outline? That is going to impact the style of the button. So I'll go ahead and change this to large and the button style to outline, and just so you could see those changes take effect. QuickShop, and you can see now it's large and it's outlined. Well, at least the add to cart. You have a separate setting for the buy it now button that is under styles. So you can choose your background color. So you don't have full control over this button because Shopify essentially hosts this button. We've given you more control than a lot of themes we've seen do, in terms of you can customize the background, the text color, the hover color, and the text hover color. So let's go back into the QuickShop settings. And so that button size does not look good. Let's just go back to medium, and we'll go back to a solid button. And then, so now we've made it through the QuickShop settings. The next one is product cards, which would be the product cards showing here on the collection page. It would also show on, say, if you're on the home page and you have a featured collection section, which I guess maybe I could show you that real quick. Just anything that is a product card. So, so this. let's say you are in a section that has a featured collection, then you have to, so these are product cards. So of course I haven't selected a collection here yet, but just keep in mind anything that is a product card, the style of it and the functionality of it can be changed by these settings. So I'm going to go to the collection page as I'm setting this up to give you an example. So, so you have the option to show vendor as well as show color swatches. So right now you can see that it says DGD Sandbox below these. So that is the vendor set in on the product in Shopify. So if I want to get rid of that, I can just uncheck it, and you'll notice that that disappeared. Also the color swatches. So you can see right here it says 3 colors whenever I'm not hovering over it on desktop. And if I hover over it, I would be able to select and look at the different options from the collection page. So you can get rid of that if you do not want that functionality on your page. So now those are gone. You also have your swatch style. So do you want that to be a square or a circle? Again, show ratings. We are going to ensure this works well for you in the base theme. Currently, it is not where we want it to be, but just know that you will have an option to show your star ratings without using an app to display them. Of course, you need an app to house your ratings, but in terms of the theme, we can handle how to display those ratings. You have your text alignment, so do you want to align left or align center? So you'll see this text shift to the center now. So you have align center and you have align left as your options there. Show background, show image background, so you can see the background on these images. So you can turn that off, and then you have no background. So if you're using like PNGs, the transparent backgrounds, and you want everything to blend in, that may be what you want to do there. Of course, if you are showing the background, you can choose your background color. Of course, so you do have those as options there. And then show secondary media on hover. Well, first of all, enable QuickShop. You can see QuickShop is enabled. This only works for desktop. QuickShop is not the same functionality on mobile because obviously you don't hover over images on mobile. You tap things with your finger. So just note that QuickShop only impacts desktop. And then so the show secondary media on hover really only makes sense if you turn QuickShop off. It will work if you have QuickShop on, but I'm going to turn QuickShop off, and then I'm going to click show secondary media on hover, and now you'll be able to see that a secondary image, so whatever image you have lined up second in the back end will show when you hover over the image. I'm going to turn that off. So that is all of the product card settings. Now we are going to go into the cart settings. So I am going to go to the cart page and touch on this with you. So you have right now you have cart type. We only are supporting page. You do have a pop-out drawer when you add the product to cart, but right now, in terms of you cannot disable the page. When someone clicks to go to the cart, it is going to bring them to this page as of now. If we roll, we may or may not roll an update for this in the base theme, but if we do, just be a lookout on our website to see if it is added in the base theme, or please feel free to reach out to us if we have not answered that question for you. With that being said, I'll show you what that pop out cart looks like real quick. So if I remove this item and we go to the collection page, and I'll just go ahead and disable the quick shop. So I'll go to the product page and I'll add the product to cart. Real quick, as I do that, I want to show what controls. So on this cart notification, I have the background set to black and the button color set to white. So this cart notification is actually going to control what the background of the pop-out cart looks like when I click add to cart. So just remember that background can be black, white, extra light gray. And right now I have it set to black with the button color of white. So if I click add to cart, now you can see that black with the white buttons. So obviously you have controls in the cart notification to adjust that there. All right, now I'm going to go to view cart. So I got a little out of order. That was cart notification settings. Now I'm going to go back into the cart setting. So you have the ability to have cart notes. So enable cart notes, that is this area here. It would allow someone to add a note. You have the ability to add a note for a gift, and you have the ability to put text in here, as well as, so here is the continue um, shopping button. I'll show you that in just a second. But this is additional checkout button. So if I have PayPal and Google Pay and other quick pay options enabled, they can show in the cart. But I do not have them enabled for the store. But that is what this option is. Of course, you can turn off your gift notes. You can turn off your cart notes, and you'll see these areas disappear. Now all we have in here is the show free shipping message, which is this message up here. So here is your message. Right now it dynamically calculates the amount. So if you put what amount you need to spend here, it will actually calculate how close you are to free shipping. So if I change this, so we've spent $60 and 1 cent, maybe I say, hey, spend 65 and you'll get free shipping. You'll notice that this area right here changes. So now you just need to spend 25 more dollars. So it's a nice little feature built into the theme. Here's your text message area. So if you want to get rid of this little area right here, just delete this text and that will disappear. So I'll give you an example here. You'll just watch that text disappear and boom. And you can turn the free shipping message off too if you do not like that there. And now you just have a basic cart page there. You can control the button size of the checkout and things. I'm not going to go over all those settings. Outside of that, that is all the settings except for this continue shopping button. So if I click remove here, if someone would happen to come to the cart page and not have anything in their cart, that is what this is. And you can choose to show this or not show this. This, you can link it to the page. So if you want to link it to a specific collection, I can link it here. So if I click this continue shopping button right now, it's going to lead me to this example collection. So you can update that link there. You can just get rid of that button altogether, completely up to you. And then of course you have an arrow you can add for the button. And that is all of the cart settings. So we touched on the cart notification as well. So the next thing I'm going to touch on is styles, which is, again, that is just the dynamic checkout button. We'll see if I can get it to pop up on this page. So right now I've got the background color, the text color, the hover, and the text hover. Essentially, if I go to this product page, I need to make sure that I enabled the quick checkout. So show dynamic checkout buttons, and that should adjust it. So now you can see the buy it now button. So that is what these style settings currently. We may add more in the future, but as of now in the base theme, just expect this functionality. We're not making any promises to add anything into the base theme, but there very well may be additional functionality built in the future for people who are on ongoing services to receive theme updates. Of course, if you want to change this, you can. So just to give you an example, that is these options control this buy it now button. All right, so that is the end of styles. Next is social media settings, which is pretty straightforward. You have Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Tumblr, Snapchat, YouTube, and Vimeo. All you do is paste your channel link in there or your page link in there, and then that will generate a social media icon. So for me to give you an example, this can be used in various areas of the theme. I'll show you how it looks in the footer just as an example. So down here you have this footer area. In each little block area, you have the option to enable social media icons. And here you can see those social media icons. Forgive the LinkedIn icon, that's what this is. We are making an update to that, but that will be working in the base theme, so you can see how these icons are working there. So with that being said, that is the social media settings. Just put your links in there. Next, we're going to go over the search input settings. So here you have, of course, up here in the top of the theme, we have the search bar enabled. So if I click the search bar right now, I do not have product suggestions enabled. So what that is going to do is as I start typing, no suggestions are going to pop up. Now I can hit enter and it'll take me to a search page where it'll give me results. Let me go back to a home page, for example. But if I enable product suggestions, what that's going to do is it's going to enable product suggestions. We'll see product suggestions pop up as I start typing. So if I put in DGD, you can see that the first thing that popped up is the DGD Crusade Shopify theme. Now I can also choose to show vendor and show price. So we'll see the vendor and price show up inside of the form when I search. You can see the vendor up here and the price down here in the form. So you have the option to choose those. You do have the option to limit it to only products. If you uncheck this, then you're going to search through blogs and pages as well. So just note that you have that ability. You have the ability to hide unavailable products. You have the ability to search more for partial match, which just means that you're giving a wider range of products the ability to show up in the search. So that is just preferential, and then sort by relevance or prices, ascending or descending. So that is the search input settings. The next you have your FavIcon. So I have this set to our logo. Essentially what that does is, I believe you can see it in the screen here at the very top tab. I'm in Shopify's admin. You can see there's a little Shopify icon there. That is your FavCon. And you have the ability to customize that and put whatever logo you have in here for your site, and that will show in the tab of the browser. Next, you have tracking. Essentially, all you do for tracking is you paste in your Google Tag Manager ID, and then that will put Google Tag Manager tracking into the theme, and you'll be able to set up, go into Google Tag Manager and set up your Google tags or whatever you have to enable tracking. So you have that option. You do not have to use that option, but it is there. We also do sell a GA4 tracking template that you can literally import into your Google Tag Manager, and you have GA4 tracking out of the box built into the theme. That'll work. Just takes a few minutes to upload. I have a video going over exactly how to do that. It's very simple and straightforward. You do have the option to use Shopify's Google channel built-in GA4 tracking, but our tracking, we believe, is a little bit more code optimized, so it's a little bit more performant, as well as it has a little bit of extra tracking available to it. It gives you a little bit more than the Google app currently is at the time of this recording. Along with, if you have custom data tracking needs, the Google Channel app is pretty much set in stone, whereas we can customize the tracking and help you track additional things and have more control over that data if you're using Google Tag Manager and our themes built-in tracking. But again, that is your option. So moving on to currency format. Essentially, all that is especially for sites that are selling in multiple countries and different currencies. If you go into the currency format here, you just have the option to display or not display currency code. So right now you can see we have USD showing up. You can just uncheck that. And now you have no USD showing up. So if you're selling in multiple countries, multiple currencies, you do have the ability to show the currency codes. So that is the currency format. Theme licensing. Literally, when you buy this theme, you'll get a license to be able to use the theme. You put that license in your theme, and your theme will work. If you don't put that license in your theme, your customizer is not going to work, um, and your theme is not going to work. So just to let you know, and there is a video going over how to set up your theme licensing. So just be on the lookout for that video. Go to our website and you'll be able to find it. Last but not least, so I'm going to touch real quick, custom CSS and theme style, they do not do anything. Well, custom CSS, that's more for a developer and unique use cases, so I'm not going to touch on custom CSS. That is strictly just a functionality for someone that's trying to uh, do custom things with the theme. We recommend, if you're trying to customize a theme, to work with us, just because we know the code in and out, and we can make edits to your theme without harming performance, whereas other people most times are likely not going to be able to do that. And theme style, that is not an option. So your last setting in here is the checkout setting. So let's go over the checkout settings. So to do this, I think it would probably be best to go to the checkout page. And please do not pay attention to this right now. I have it designed very ugly because I want to just show you the changes as they're being made. So you do have the option to add a background image. I'm just going to select any image here. Just note that as you can see, you would need a very rectangular image to look okay here, firstly. So just note that most of the time we don't see background images being used, but you do have the option to add a background image there. I'm going to remove it. And let me go ahead and refresh this page a little bit, because sometimes the customizer um, needs to just like refresh to adjust. Now you can see that logo is back here. So I have the option to upload a custom logo. So I've added our little G logo here, and you can position it. Do you want it left? Do you want it center? Or do you want it on the right? So you can see how it's adjusted. Let's put it back to the left. You can make it small, medium, or large, so you can see the differences there, and depending on your logo. Background image, so that's just going to fill this entire background of the form with an image. So you can play around with that if you want to. Typically you're just going to use a solid color, so I'm going to change the background back to white. So now you can see that it's back to white. You have form fields transparent, so actually let me go back to the blue. So right now the form fields are put to transparent. Now you can see they're put to white. So that is the difference there, with the form fields being transparent or the form fields being white. So now I'm going to go back to the white background. So the background color here, so this is for this right area here. So of course that might not look the best. I might want to use like a light gray, something like that, for the background on the right side. So now you can see that change take effect. Accents, so you can see that the return to cart, your privacy policy, your terms of service takes the accent color. And then you have your button, so of course that would change this continue to shipping button. So depending on what you want that to be, you can change that. If there's an error filling out any fields, they'll highlight red. You can change that. And that is essentially it for your checkout settings. And then of course, depending on what you want here, you can put that checkout to your mobile view just to see what it looks like on mobile. Unless you're on Shopify Plus, you do not have the ability to customize your checkout. So Shopify Plus is like $1,000 or $2,000 a month or higher plan. So you do have these few amount of customization options, but you do not have full control to customize the checkout, nor do we, unless you're on Shopify Plus. Shopify does not give you access to that. So just note that you do not have full ability to customize the checkout unless you're on that. With that being said, that is all of the theme settings, which are essentially global settings. They affect your site throughout. Um, Thank you for bearing with me through that video. It was a long one, but now you're more prepared to use the DGD Crusade Shopify theme and to maximize your site performance. And you are very much more aware of how theme settings impacts the rest of your website. Now you understand how some of the settings get into the sections that you're using. So whenever you're using sections on your homepage and you have typography options or text color options, you know where those come from. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to reference our documentation on our website. Check out all the videos, and then if you need anything, of course, please do not hesitate to reach out and let us know, and we're happy to help.